Hey everyone, it's December 6th, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with mass murderer Richard Speck, who brutally killed 8 victims on one night in Chicago in 1966, and that is him right over there. Speck was born the 7th of 8 children in a very religious family in 1941 in a small town in Illinois, roughly equidistant from St. Louis and Chicago. His father passed away when he was just 6, and after his teetotaling mother remarried a few years later, he was subject to frequent beatings from his alcoholic stepfather. They relocated to a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas, where Speck suffered a head injury after falling out of a tree. The family lacked stability, moving 10 times in the span of a dozen years, which may be one reason why Speck was a poor student, failing every subject in the 9th grade, after which he dropped out of school. He had started drinking alcohol at the age of 12, and by the age of 15, he was getting drunk daily. Speck's first brush with the law came at age 13 when he was arrested for trespassing, and he was arrested dozens of times over the next 8 years for petty offenses. Speck found work at a 7-Up bottling plant, and in 1961, at the age of 20, he met a 15-year-old girl at the Texas State Fair who he impregnated after just 3 weeks of dating. They were married the next year, but in 1963 he was convicted of forging a signature on a stolen paycheck and robbing a grocery store, which got him sentenced to 3 years in prison. He was paroled after 16 months, but just 1 week after his release, he was back behind bars when he attacked a woman with a knife. Due to a paperwork error, Speck was mistakenly released from prison again after just 6 months. His marriage had fallen apart, and he stole 70 cartons of cigarettes in 1966. Realizing that the police were onto him, he fled Texas, as this would have been his 42nd arrest there and likely meant extended prison time. He moved back to Illinois, where he almost immediately began committing violent crimes. His first was sexually assaulting a 65-year-old woman at knife point, and a week later, he may have murdered for the first time, attacking a woman whose liver ruptured, killing her. By July of 1966, Speck had bounced between jobs and been on the run from the law since he came back to the state. On July 13th, he sexually assaulted a woman at knife point and stole a Saturday Night Special gun that she had purchased for protection before walking to a townhouse that served as a dormitory for nursing students in Chicago. He was drunk and high when he arrived and broke into the building where he accosted the residents at gunpoint. Speck rounded them up and kept them in a room before leading them away one by one into an adjacent room where he stabbed and strangled each of them, raping his final victim. The attacks took several hours, during which time one potential victim managed to escape, wriggling out of her restraints and hiding under a bed. At 6 a.m., after the rest of the women had all been killed, she managed to shout, "They're all dead! All my friends are dead!" which alerted neighbors who called police to the crime scene. Speck's fingerprints were discovered there, and seeing the news coverage, he attempted suicide 4 days later. He was arrested at the hospital and faced trial where he was convicted of 8 brutal murders. Initially sentenced to death, his sentence was overturned and commuted to life in prison due to issues with the jury pool. While in prison, Speck kept birds who flew into his cell window as pets, and after his death was seen in a secret videotape engaging in sex and drug parties at the prison, where he claimed on camera to be having a great time behind bars. Speck died of a heart attack in 1991, one day before his 50th birthday. His story has been featured in dozens of books, films, and documentaries, including the 2002 film Speck. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Richard Speck, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.